Wire rope lanyards. A wire rope lanyard is a tether used for loss prevention or to prevent an item from being misplaced when not in use. All of our wire rope lanyard assemblies are available as either an uncoated bare wire or coated wire. Common coatings or jackets include nylon or PVC. The wire rope is made from a 7x7 aircraft cable. 7x7 aircraft cable consists of a single strand of a wire that is made up of a braid of 7 wires intertwined that then get braided together with 7 more strands of the like, making the wire very strong. Wire rope lanyards are stocked in both stainless and galvanized wire. Standard lanyards are stocked and readily available in both 6-inch and 12-inch sizes. Custom sizes are available upon request. Terminus ends are the various fastening components used to secure the lanyard to the application. Common termination variations such as loops, tabs, split rings, and stake eyes are available. Stake eyes and tabs contain a hole where a bolt or screw will be inserted and bolted onto a piece of equipment or machinery. Loops and split rings are also used in cases where the loop or ring can be affixed to the unit around a rod of some sort. Loops and tabs are made by adding a figure 8 crimp, where we loop the wire around and insert it back into the crimp, and then we crush the crimp. Wire rope lanyards may be assembled onto Innovative's extensive line of quick-release pins such as positive locking pins, detent pins, linch pins, and wire lock pins. Moving on to the part code guide. Wire rope lanyards are composed of a 15-digit smart part code. All important attributes of the lanyard are broken up into categories and listed out on the part code guide. Follow the color-coded guide to translate the description into an Innovative Components part number. Located at the bottom of each guide is the layout of the smart part code. Use this to guide you when creating a part number. To start, take notice that the product listed in the red section is a wire rope lanyard. All wire rope lanyard part numbers will be a 2-digit designator taking up the very first 2 spaces. All wire rope lanyards will start with LN. Next we move on to the orange section labeled wire diameter. We allot 4 placeholders for the diameter within the part code in spaces number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Actual wire diameter is listed in fractional measurement, like 3/64 or 3/64. If the wire is coated, the coated diameter will always be referenced in the specs, but the part number will call out the bare wire diameter. Please note, we have another product category called coiled lanyards that also begins with LN. In part coding, the way to tell the difference between a finished good wire rope lanyard and a coil lanyard is in spaces number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Coil lanyards are in decimal format, whereas wire rope lanyards will be called out in fractional format. A finished good is a part ready to sell to a customer as compared to a raw material or bill of material component. Next we move on to the green section called length. We allocate 5 digits to the length section in spaces number 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Spaces number 7 and 8 are for full inches, and spaces number 9, 10, and 11 are for 3 decimal places. Exception: if the lanyard is a green coated lanyard, the length is only 4 digits with the 5th decimal place as an automatic X. Length is called out by measuring center of terminus to center of terminus, not end of lanyard to end of lanyard. 6 inches would be written out as 06000 or 06, pretend there's a decimal, 000. Whereas 12.5 inches would be written out in a part code as 12500 or pretend there's a 12.500. Next we move on to the blue section called terminus ends. There are 2 terminus ends for each lanyard. There are 2 placeholders for terminus ends in placeholders number 12 and 13 of the part code. Terminus ends are the various fastening components used to secure the lanyard to the application. The part code guide shows that we typically have loops, stake eyes, split rings, and tabs as common terminus ends. Each attribute translates to a single number or letter. For example, a 1/4 inch loop would be written as a 1 in the part code. A stake eye with a 5/16 hole would be called out as a D within the part number. There is no front or back to a lanyard, so the letters can sometimes be flip-flopped within inventory. When looking up part codes, check it both ways. For example, you might see LN 3/64, 18000, 3B 7N, or you might see LN 3/64 18000 B3 7N. Notice the B3 or 3B can be flip-flopped. Really, it's the same exact part number. If a terminus N that is not specified is being used, we use an X to signify to our team that there is something custom about this part and to read the description or the blueprint. Next in purple is wire material. We designate one space holder in space number 14 for this attribute. Typical materials are stainless steel and galvanized steel. If a material that is not specified is being used, we use an X to signify to our team that there is something custom about this part's material and to read the description or the blueprint. Lastly, we specify the coatings or jacket. We designate one space holder in space number 15 for this attribute. If there is no coating, we use 0 for bare. If there is a jacket, we need to know the material. Typical materials are clear nylon or clear PVC, which are a kind of cloudy, milky white, clear color. Now that we know how to use the part code guide, let's move on to the practice quiz and put it to use. Wire rope lanyard quiz. Number 1. 3/64 by 4 inch galvanized wire lanyard with a number 10 stake eye on both ends. First, we refer to the part code guide to identify the product code. The product code is going to be called out as LN for lanyard. Next, we move on to the orange section called wire diameter. Here we specify the actual wire diameter listed in fractional format. If the wire is coded, the coded diameter will always be referenced in the specs. The diameter listed in the part code will be specifically the bare wire. This particular part number is calling out a 3/64 diameter. 3/64 has no translation. It will be written out in the part code as 3/64. Next, we move on to the length in the green section. We have 5 digits available for this attribute. 2 placeholders are for the full inches, and the following 3 placeholders are for the decimal. Looking at number 1, we have a 4-inch lanyard. So 4 inches would be written out as 04000. We pretend as if there's a 04 for 4 inches, and then there's a decimal 000. Next, we move on to the terminus ends. This particular description calls out number 10 stake eye on both ends. So we look at the terminus ends in blue, look at stake eyes, and identify that a number 10 translates to a B. So in the blue section for terminus ends, you would see a BB here. Then we move on to the wire material in purple. This particular description calls out galvanized wire. Galvanized wire translates to a G in the part code. Then we move on to the coating in fuchsia. The coating is not specified in number 1. When it's not specified, that means that it is bare. There is no jacket, there is no coating, it's just the bare wire itself. In those cases, we enter in a 0 for bare or no coating. This part code would be called out as LN 3/64 04000 BBG0. Number 2, we have a 3/64 by 7 inch galvanized wire lanyard with 3/4 inch loop and a 3/8 inch loop. The part code is going to start out with an LN, calling out wire lanyard. Next, we move on to the wire diameter. The wire diameter is 3/64. That will be written out in the part code as 3/64. Then we move on to the length. The length is 7 inches. 7 inches would be written as 07000. 07 being your whole number, 000 being your decimal. Then we move on to the terminus ends. We have a 3/4 inch loop and a 3/8 inch loop. So we look at the terminus ends in blue into the loop column, and we need to identify 3/4 and 3/8. 3/4 is called out as a 3. 3/8 is not called out at all. If you have a diameter that is not called out, you enter in an X. So we have a 3X or an X3. There is no right or wrong in that case. Next, we move on to the wire material. Number 2 says galvanized wire lanyard. Galvanized steel translates to a G. Then we move on to the coding. There is no coding listed in the description. Therefore, we use a 0 for bear. Number 2's part code will read LN 3/64 07 000 3XG0. Number 3, 1/16 by 10-inch galvanized wire lanyard with a 3/8 inch loop and a number 10 stake eye. The part code is going to start with an LN. Next, we identify the wire diameter. 1/16 will be written as 1/16. Then we move on to the length. Here we have a 10-inch wire lanyard, so it will be written out as 10 for the whole number, 000 for the decimal. Then we move on to the terminus ends in blue. The terminus ends are a 3/8 loop, which will translate into an X because there is no 3/8 loop called out in the part code guide. Then we see a number 10 stake eye. Number 10 stake eyes translate to a B. Next we move on to the wire material. This says galvanized wire lanyard. Galvanized will translate to a G in the part code. There is no coding listed, and when there's no coding, we're going to call out 0 for bear. Number 3's part code will read LN 1/16 10000 XBG0. Please finish the part code quiz.